Hi, my name is Mia and welcome to a new video. So, today's topic is Mystic Messenger once again, but today is gonna be the second part. Yes. Yes. So, in the first part, to give a little background check, I guess, my first video was about obviously Mystic Messenger, and it was my first impressions about the characters. I'm talking about Sen, Yusong, and Jaehee. Those are the three characters that I specifically talked about in my first video. I basically just gave my first impressions about them. In other words, my first thoughts. As the name suggests, impressions, thoughts, etc., etc., about about them that I first had when I first played the game and their route. And I also gave my current impressions about them, my current thoughts about them, and how I feel about them now. So that's what I did for the first part. Today, we're going to continue that. Today, we're going to go down the list because, obviously, there's not only 3 characters in Mystic Messenger. There's more than that. So here we are. Here we are to continue it. So, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so Jumin Han. Yeah. So he's the CEO of his I'm sorry if I don't get this right cuz I don't remember, okay? It's been a long time, okay, since I played this. Basically he's the CEO of his own company. Well, basically his dad, but he's his son, so obviously he's a part of it, okay? And he is, if I'm not wrong, I think he's 28. I'm pretty sure he's 28. That's what I remember. And I obviously thought he was handsome. Look at him. He's so handsome. His black hair, his black eyes, his suit, everything, he's handsome. I also really related to him in the aspect of his cat. Because, Jumin, since the very beginning, has always been very open about his love for... What was his cat's name? Elizabeth? Oh my god. Imagine it's not actually Elizabeth and I'm calling her Elizabeth. Oh my god. I think his cat's name is Elizabeth, right? Hopefully, but it's basically his cat, right? And he has always been really open about his love for her, especially on the group chat that we share, of course, with him and the rest of the members. And I related to him right away when it came to that topic because I also have a cat, okay? And I love him. I love him dearly. I love him so much. So I totally understood where he was coming from because I know a lot of the members, I think Zen and Jaehee, I think they thought that his love for his cat was exaggerated, they thought it was a little bit too much, this is not healthy. But nah, girl, nah, I totally understand him. I'm with him. I'm there backing him up because I totally understand. I totally understand the love for pets in general, but I specifically have a cat too, so I totally get it, okay? So I related to him in that aspect since the very beginning, obviously. And I also really, really liked his cat. She's so cute. She's a really pretty cat. I think she might be I don't think they mentioned what breed she was specifically, but she's a very luxurious looking cat. Besides her actually being luxurious, but that's not the point. Her physically. She's a very white, poofy, very fluffy cat with blue eyes. So she's beautiful. She's really pretty. So I obviously really liked his cat. And in the beginning, I feel like Jumin seemed very closed out. Is that how you say it? Like, yeah, like very close compared to everybody else. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like everybody else was more like more open, like, you know, like showcasing their personality more. And Jumin, no, he was like more like shut in, I guess. And I feel like specifically Zen, which I understand that Zen kind of has like this kind of low-key kind of rivalry with him, where he was like, oh, like, no, like, he's so boring, you know, like, he just goes to work and then goes back home with his cat and that's it. And you know, I was like, oh, okay. But I obviously knew that there was more to him. I mean, when it comes to these kind of characters, I feel like there's always more to them than meets the eye, the saying or whatever. So I knew that there had to be more to him than just that, but you know, those were literally like my first impressions about him. It was just that he was very, you know, like very straight, like very, I mean straight in the sense that he's a very responsible human being, okay? Like, he takes his job seriously. Like, he takes everything, I guess, very, very seriously, you know? And, you know, he's also like a very well-spoken, like, serious, I know I keep mentioning the word serious, but serious person. And of course he gave me like that kind of vibe, you know? More like, you know, more closed off. I think that's the word that I was looking for, more closed off than everybody else. But yeah, those were my literally first impressions about Jumin. Is that he was, yeah, I mean, he was just acting as his title, you know, of being the CEO of his corporation, which I totally forgot what the name is, but you know, you know, he literally lived up to that title, to that like occupation, I guess, if you could call it that. So yeah, I kind of am trying to find more words to describe him, more than just him being serious and him being very straight and him being like very responsible. But I can't find any more right now, so I guess I'll just leave it at that. Now, to the more important part, my favorite part, is my current thoughts about him, my current impressions about him, and how I feel and look at him now. So I think he's a very hardworking person. He really is. Because, okay, yeah, like, you know, like, he was basically born with a silver spoon. Like, we're not gonna lie here. He was, you know, he was fortunate enough to be born into a very wealthy family. And that was the way that he was raised, you know? That was the way that he, you know, grew up or whatever. I was trying to, like, say a phrase, but like I totally forgot how it went, but whatever. But even so, I still believe he is a very hardworking person. You know, he is very hardworking. He literally takes he has like a very important position in the company, you know. And yeah, maybe it is due to his dad, you know. Yeah, but like that still doesn't take away the fact that, you know, he takes it very serious and that he does his job right, you know. Honestly, I cannot remember any of the stuff that he does because it's been a while, but I know that he's a hardworking person, okay? I just know it. I wish I could remember something, but I can't remember right now. I think it's like paperwork and stuff, right? But either way, he is a hardworking person. I also think he is really funny and cute. Like, first of all, like, I just really, really liked his route. I loved his route so much. And he actually became my comfort character. And me before Jumin, before playing Messenger Mystic Messenger in general, I had never had a comfort character. But he was my first comfort character. And I feel like he still is now my comfort character. Basically, well, for what I know, because I feel like a comfort character kinda, it can have a lot of different meanings, you know what I mean? But what I kind of consider like a comfort character is that like a character that you find comfort in and that you kind of relate to a lot, you see yourself in them a lot, and that's why they're your comfort character. You know what I mean? So he was literally my first comfort character, and he is still now. And honestly, and obviously that has a lot to do with his route. Like I mentioned, I sorry, I need to take a breather. I really liked his route. I feel like his route, I mean, obviously his route and 707's, it's separate when it comes to their route is separate from Zen, Jaehee, and Yusong, because theirs is like a little bit more in depth, and they're right, because when it comes to those two, like their route, their characters are more, how do you call it? Like they're more, I can't think any of the words I want right now. Like more complex. There you go. More complex. That's the word that I was looking for. I mean, we all know that they're part of the deep route. In other words, with these two, I feel like we touch more serious topics, more serious subjects when it comes to Jumin and Seven. Not that the other ones, are not deep, because they are. I mean, every character is deep in their own way, and this includes Jaehee, Zen, and Yusong, regardless if they're not part of the deep route, But I feel like you can notice the difference between these three and these two. You know what I mean? With their route and like what happens and what it's about, So, so when it comes to Jumin, we see a lot of Jumin's internal pain. We see a lot of his struggles, a lot of his fears, if you would call it that. Why? This has to do a lot with his upbringing, with his past, in other words. I guess to give a little bit of a background on him, so we can understand a bit better, I guess. So Jumin's parents, his mom and his dad divorced, okay? They're not together anymore. But Jumin does not have a good relationship with his mom. He has never had a good relationship with her. But he does have a good relationship with his dad. Like, they got along really well. He loves him dearly, The thing is, though, with his dad, that I guess it's like a how can you call it? Like I can't remember the word right now. Not like a mistake, but well, the one thing that has his dad, though, besides all the good, is that he's a womanizer. He has had a lot of women in his life, women that are only interested in him because of his money. So they've never been with him because they actually are in love with him. It's literally just because of his status and his money. Why? Because his dad is like the owner of like the company that that he obviously also works in. And basically, I mean, obviously his dad never sees this because he's blinded, by how attracted he is to this woman, or by his, in between quotation marks, love for them, But Jumin has always been able to see this, and I guess this obviously has affected him because he has seen this like from very young, you know. This is like not something recent. Like this has been happening for years, okay? This has been happening. Also, when it comes to him as well, he has noticed that people only like want to get to know him or get close to him because of this same thing, because of his status, because he has loads of money, because he's loaded, you know, because he's a very successful man. And obviously, like, he's not blind, he's not dumb, he knows this. And I feel like this kind of set him aback, I guess. Like, you can say, like, kind of turn him off from, you know, like, from making any, like, real connections, you know, like, because of this. So he kind of isolated himself due to this, you know, kind of kept more to himself. And the reason why he always keeps himself so busy is because he's always working so hard. And that's why this feeling like of, he's always had like that feeling of loneliness, you know, of loneliness, of longing, of like wanting something more. But the thing with him is that he was pushing it all down. He was all pushing it. He was bearing that, all of that inside him, which obviously was not doing him any good, because he even described himself using a metaphor of like him being growing up, having a lot of red threads inside him with a lot of knots, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And you know, those knots signify his struggles, you know, and one of it was his loneliness. And even though he might appear like somebody who doesn't feel much, who is very nonchalant, very chill, very how can I describe it, I don't know, like not emotionless, but very, you know, yeah. I could not find the word, but you know, just somebody who is very in control of his emotions, basically. Jumin is not that. Jumin is the exact opposite of that. He feels too much, you know, you could even say. Like, he feels a lot of things. It's just that he hides it very well by, you know, keeping it all behind a wall. That's what he does. He keeps it all behind a wall. And, so it's interesting, right? Because with him, we obviously got close to him because of the chats that we talked to him, you know, on the Mystic Messenger app or whatever, on our little group, on our little organization, and we got close to him. And at one point he was struggling because his dad once again got with a new woman. I think her name was Glam Choi, if I'm not wrong. And well, obviously the girl like only was with him because of the money, you know. She was not attracted to him at all, but you know, the money is what's really attractive here. Anyway, she suggested for Jumin, you know, his son, and her student to be a couple, you know, like to be a thing, and I think to get married, if I'm not wrong. And obviously his dad, being like the blind simp that he is, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't say that, but like, you know, him being blinded, he was like, yeah, oh my god, that's such a good idea, yes. And yeah, and well, obviously Jumin did not like that shit, you know. He was like, girl, like, what, why are you doing this? And again, this kind of I guess you could say that he felt kind of emotionally betrayed by his dad, you know. Maybe here and many times before, but here it was kind of really like relived once again. It was like, like, you know, like here we go again. So Jaehee, so he was really down. Like, I feel like he didn't even want to work or something like that. I don't remember, but like basically Jaehee suggested us to go and visit him, and you know, because we're so close when it comes to like in the RFA. And we was like, well, you know, maybe you can make him feel better. And we were like, yeah, you know, that sounds like a good idea. Like, I want to meet Jumin. And so we did. We literally went to his apartment. And yeah, I mean, he was really surprised to see us at first, but then later on, like, we got along like this, you know, like, we drew close. Like, we were already close, but like not in a personal, kind of like in person level. It was just like through chat. But once we met in person, it was like instant, like, how do you call it? Like, instant chemistry, instant connection, instant everything, basically. And yeah, now the thing that happens next is that Elizabeth escapes because I don't remember anymore, but he literally like locked her up. I'm sorry, locked her up in a cage because I think he was scared that something was gonna happen to her. Oh yeah, that something bad was gonna happen to her thanks to Glam Chue and her student or whatever. So he locked her up for precautions, but obviously Elizabeth III did not like that. So she escaped. She literally ran away, and that was like Jumin's second emotional betrayal that he had, because I mean, like I mentioned before, like Jumin really loves his cat. She oh my god, I keep misgendering these characters. Jumin really loves Elizabeth. He really does. Oh my god, he really does so dearly. So like, you know, him watching her run away from him, you know, it made him feel a certain way. Like, it hurt, you know, because it was kind of like, oh well, like, I love you so much, I've given you everything and so much more, and you just leave me like that, like, you know. And you know, that's in part of Jumin's fault, because I also feel like Jumin, all of these emotions, all of his loneliness and his potential feelings that he might have had for Rika, he was literally what's the word, projecting all of that onto Elizabeth, which is just a pet, you know what I mean? And he wanted to treat him more than that, you know? And I feel like that's what kind of the problem relied on here, you know? You know, because it's one thing to really love your pets, like there is, but like him, he was projecting too much of these like negative emotions, these internal struggles that he had onto her, thinking it was gonna fix everything, when obviously he knew deep inside that Elizabeth was not gonna be able to fulfill him fully of what he truly wanted, you know. And it turned interesting, right? Because there was a point where, like, because of this happening with Elizabeth, he got really possessive and controlling over us, like very, very much, to the point where like he didn't want us to leave, because like we needed to leave already, you know, because I think we had been staying there like for a while already. Well, I don't know, actually, I'm not sure, but we basically needed to leave already, you know, because we were there just to visit him, not to like stay for a whole week or a month or whatever, you know. But due to this recent events happening, he grew very possessive, he grew very controlling. He did not want to let us go. He did not want us to be out of his sight, basically, and he wanted us to be right there with him, you know. Basically using kind of like metaphors. I think he once used a metaphor of like wanting us to keep us in a cage, basically, because so that we wouldn't be able to, like, you know, get away, or, you know, to keep us safe, basically, and for nothing to happen to us. And it was getting a little bit too, like, I guess, freaky. I don't know what's the word, but basically, like, you know, he was starting to say stuff like, oh, well, you know, we can do your hair this way, and you can put these type of dresses. Basically, he was kind of starting to treat us like a doll, basically. A doll which we had, like, no mind of our own, basically. Because it would be one thing if it would be like, oh, well, like, you know, you can buy whatever you want, you know, like, whatever clothes, whatever shoes, whatever, you know. But he was like, no. You can wear these type of hair, and you can wear these dresses, like, you know, it was starting to be more controlling. And at first, it did took me aback. It really surprised me at first because I was kind of like, um, why is he being like this? Why is he acting like this? I was shook it in, honestly. Like, I did not find it like to the point of like, oh my god, this is so creepy. Like, no, but like I did thought it was weird. I thought it was, I don't know, like it really surprised me that he took this kind of behavior, and I was really taken aback by that. But then I was kind of like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's okay, like everything will be fine. I'll just keep insisting about Elizabeth or about me needing to go home because that's the healthiest thing to do. I get it that he's not having a great time right now, but that does not mean that I have to follow everything he says, or do whatever he wants. I have to do my own thing. Of course, let's not be harsh or anything like that or rude because we have a thing for him, but yeah, let's get our point across. And yeah, that happened. But like he also had very vulnerable moments where like he basically expressed, how he had these thoughts like in his head that were like very horrible, that were like terrible things like to think about or to feel about. And like he basically felt like a person basically because he couldn't control it and he couldn't help like feeling those things. And again, this has to do with everything that I've said before, and basically him feeling just not good about himself, and him knowing that what he was doing to us was not right, and him wanting to do the good thing, but then like those threats inside of him kind of stopping him, those knots inside of him preventing him to do so. Yeah. But of course, eventually he does let us go. We convince him that everything's gonna be fine, that I'm not going anywhere. I'm still gonna be with him, but like I just have to go back to the apartment, to prepare for the party. And that's literally what happened. And yeah, like everything ended up being in a good note. And the party, Jumin, I think, ended up like exposing Glam Chue and her student, who actually ended up being like his daughter or some And yeah, I'm not gonna go much into the details of that, but basically it was a good ending, and he was able to resolve his hardships, I guess. Be able to like get past them. But yeah, I love Jumin. I love Jumin as a character. I feel like Jumin is gonna be the one out of the two that I'm gonna rant the most about because I don't know. For me, Jumin is such a how do you call it? Such a diverse character. Like he's such a there's a word for it. There's a word for it. I just can't remember about it right now. But he is literally such a such a diverse, interesting character to me. I really do love him. I love him so much. And I think out of all of them, even though I do have my favorites, like first, second, third, whatever, fourth, fifth, I feel like out of all of them, Jumin is the closest to my heart. And honestly, I love Jumin so much. So yeah. But I really love him. He's my comfort character for a reason. And I really liked his route. I liked his route so much. It was so vulnerable, and so it touched on subjects that I didn't think we were gonna touch with him. So yeah. And I also think he's really funny and cute. Fun fact, I feel like everybody thinks this. I mean, I feel like he's very cute in the sense that he's very innocent, like when it comes to like relationships, because he's never been in a relationship before, so that kind of gives him a more innocent kind of aspect to him. And I think that's so cute because that makes him really cute. And he's also very funny in his own way, because we know how like I guess Jumin can be like described as somebody who is like a little bit more serious, and maybe to the other members like stale. But he's actually so funny to me. Maybe not in the sense of like Seven, because they're both very different type of humors, but I think Jumin is hilarious. And that's it for this video. Actually, this video was actually originally just supposed to be one, but since I yapped too much, I had to separate it into two. I'm pretty sure you can imagine why. But yeah, I mean, premise of the story, I love Jumin. I love him. That's all you have to know. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe and turn on the bell notification button so that you know every time I upload a new video or short, whatever. So yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.